Hi, welcome to my channel, Moving to Madison, Wisconsin. I'm your host, Mindi Kessenich, and today I'm going to talk to you about the people. What are the people in Madison, Wisconsin like, or Wisconsin in general? I would just say they're really, really nice. If I had to use one word to describe Madisonians or Wisconsinites, I would say that the Midwest nice is a real thing. Let me give you some context. Like, what does that mean? Here's a great example. I like to go on walks every single day. I try to find a trail and I take my pup and we go for a walk in the woods for like a good hour. And I do this because it helps me clear my head. It gives me some, just alone time to like think and like, sometimes listen to podcasts or whatever it may be. Well, it's really hard to spend an hour in the woods on a trail anyway, by yourself in deep thought, because you will have to reciprocate a hello or a good morning or hi, how are you? Or a, oh yes, oh thank you, yes, my dog's very cute. Like, annoyingly so. Like you won't be able to just hop on a trail and like speed walk for an hour without being stopped like a million times by the fellow walker runners and bikers. Bikers pass me all the time on my most commonly walked trail. They will slow down to give me a little head nod or a wave or a good morning. And I know that this is not normal because I have clients who have relocated from other areas, and one of the things they tell me, a short while after living here is they can't believe how nice and friendly people are in the Madison, Wisconsin area. And like I said, sometimes it can be downright annoying. So yes, I admittedly get a little bit annoyed with all of the niceties on the trails. However, I do really appreciate how nice and kind and helpful the people that you are going to meet in the Madison area are, especially because that's what makes our communities so wonderful. Whether you're moving to Madison proper or you're moving into one of the several suburbs on the outskirts, community is something that is so valued here in this area. And it's because there are so many nice people that want to look out for each other and help each other out. I think that that's one of the things that makes Madison, Wisconsin and the surrounding areas very unique. I think that if you did any sort of research on what the people of Madison, Wisconsin are like, you would find that a lot of people that come into our area would say the same thing, that people are just really nice. So if you are looking for a community to be a part of and, moving into a neighborhood where there's going to be, friends or families or gatherings or, community-based events and people that you can really tap into, this is an amazing area to be in. And we take our traditions very seriously. Every community, if not even some like specific neighborhoods within Madison and the surrounding areas, will have some sort of festival. And I'll tell you, I am from a community called Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. It's right outside of Madison, and I never have any intention of going to the Cottage Grove Firemen's Festival, and yet every single year I end up at the Cottage Grove Firemen's Festival because it's tradition. And I for sure am gonna have people, friends, family, past neighbors, my kids' friends, families, all reaching out to say, when are you going down to the Cottage Grove Festival? Let's meet at the beer tent because that's what we do. So if you land in Madison, Wisconsin, and this could be a pro or a con, if you find yourself looking to move or relocating into the Madison area, you are going to be thrown into a community and you may have to fight for some privacy depending on where you move, because when it comes down to, like I said, our traditions, like we are all so proud, like Sun Prairie's got its Corn Fest and Middleton literally has a festival called the Good Neighbor Festival. Like, we take such pride in our communities and our traditions, and you will have to fight to not be recognized as a new neighbor in most places that you live. There's not everywhere. Like, there are some more, urban areas where people move downtown and they kind of keep to themselves. But in a lot of scenarios, you're gonna have to fight to not have a neighbor looking out for you or knocking on your door or, letting you know, hey, you left your garage door open. Like, sometimes it gets to be to the point where you're wondering if somebody is stalking you. And again, there's some pros and cons to that. Like, you know, we moved out of a neighborhood that was very much like that, and we appreciated it and we loved it. And our neighbors are some of our most dear friends. However, it is like you are in a snow globe, and everybody is with best intentions looking out for you and your property and your kids. I mean, if you're looking for that, like that sense of community, I'm telling you, the suburbs of Madison is where it's at. Speaking of Midwest nice, have you ever run into a Midwesterner and experienced the Midwest goodbye? Hopefully you've at least heard of it. It's a real thing, and it takes about an hour. It's the whole Midwest goodbye, you know, it's really anywhere. You know, it can be, if you're in a really big hurry, it can be like 15 minutes, but if you are like at a gathering in somebody's home and you wanna leave, you better plan for a good 45 minutes to an hour. It always starts with well, we better hit the road, or we better get going. That's the beginning. And then you start talking about, oh, yep, this is what I have going on tomorrow. What do you have going on tomorrow? And you talk a little bit about the next day or the next week, and how wonderful it was to spend time with that person, and how much you valued your time, and it was so good to catch up. And then it goes, you know, after, you know, several minutes, 10, 20, 15 minutes of that, then you get up and you start working towards the door where you'll inevitably put your shoes on, and the host will follow you there. They'll follow you to the door and make sure that you're feeling very loved right up until the time that you hit the door, and you know, you put your shoes on, takes 5 or 10 minutes, and then you get up and you're like, well, thank you so much for having me. And that's gonna be another 10, 15, 20 minutes of thank yous and hugs, and it was so great having you, and you get the idea. Then they reach for the door handle, they open the door, and likely they will follow you out into, you know, the garage. We have a lot of garage exits. I don't know if that's normal or not, but a lot of times when I entertain, people come into my house through the garage. They don't enter the front door, which is really disappointing, because when I built my house, I made this grand door. I paid for an upgrade to have a beautiful front door. Nobody uses it. I should have known this. Anyways, so they will follow you into the garage where you will continue to say goodbye. They will maybe even open your door handle. And then before you're able to drive off, they will tell you how much they love you. And it's not like in a, I love you. It's in a, watch for deer. Which then goes into who they know, how many people they know that have recently hit a deer, or run into a deer, or saw a deer. And then finally, after you've talked about the deer, you can finally roll down your window, stick an arm out the window, and start waving goodbye as you slowly reverse out of the driveway. It sounds ridiculous, you guys, but that is not really that far off from what a Midwest goodbye looks like. Even if you're in a public place. I know that my past clients experienced it when we met for coffee after they closed on their house, and you know, like we just needed to catch up, and then it was like, oh, time to get going. And then I walk them out to their car, and then I give them a hug, and I thank them, and I just spewing niceness. That's what we do. That's what the Midwesterners do. I just have to warn you about that, because like I said, I love it. I love our nice people. But even being a Midwesterner myself, like a lifelong Midwestern, born and raised Wisconsinite, it's intense and it can get really old and annoying. So if you're somebody who does not enjoy stopping on the trail to say hello or to let somebody pat your dog, or it could be a con. Not that this isn't a pros and cons video, but I'm just warning you, this is what you're gonna get yourself into. The last thing I wanna mention about the people that you're gonna encounter if or when you move to the Madison, Wisconsin area is, on a more serious note, back to the whole idea of the community. There is so much pride, like I talked about, community spirit. So whether that be, you know, the homecoming games, you know, local small town football games, or on a more serious note, we've had some really serious tragedies hit our communities in the surrounding areas. And that is really when you learn to value what we have here in the Madison, Wisconsin and surrounding areas, in, you know, anywhere in the Midwest, I think. Because when a tragedy strikes, whether it be a couple years ago, we had an explosion. It was a gas explosion. One of the workers, they were working on the roads, they hit a gas line, and there was a huge gas explosion in the community of Sun Prairie. And to see the way that the communities, all of them, not just Sun Prairie, but all of the Madison and greater area responds to that and comes together and shows support. I mean, it's gonna bring me to tears. it's really moving. And it is in those moments that you realize that, yes, it can be kind of annoying to be surrounded by these Midwest nice, like, you know, when you go to the grocery store and you can't get through the grocery store without chit-chatting with somebody and oh, let me scooch by you, you know, like all of those weird things that we say. It's like, it's real. And then it strikes conversation and then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's real. But it's also so endearing and so incredible to know that you are part of this bigger community, that at any given time, if you need someone, it's as simple as putting something out on a Facebook post or reaching out to a neighbor or a group of friends. Like, there are so many people that will jump to your rescue to help you in any situation. And so it can be a little bit annoying. It's a little bit over the top. It's probably honestly a little bit hard to get used to when you move from another, you know, maybe big urban area where they're, you know, outside of the Midwest where you're not used to that. But like I said, if community is important to you and just being surrounded by people who really deeply care more than maybe you want them to at any given time, it's a really great place. And I think that if you ever visited the Midwest, if you ever came and spent some time in Madison, Wisconsin, you would really learn to appreciate the Midwestern nice. Obviously, we're not perfect, and I know lots of people, and I experience lots of people on a very regular basis that are very rude and angry and drive like jerks. However, I would say overall, we're pretty amazingly nice people. Please feel free, as always, to reach out to me with any questions, concerns, or comments. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to get more videos out on a more consistent basis and would love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.